before the food court, before fast food took over every highway exit in America, there was the cafeteria. A tray, a line, and a woman behind the counter who slid your plate towards you without a single word needed, because everyone already knew exactly how this worked. If you grew up in America between the 1950s and the 1970s, chances are a cafeteria fed you at least once a week. Maybe it was after church. Maybe it was a Sunday dinner with grandparents. Maybe it was simply the place your family went because it was affordable, familiar, and always the same. Today we are counting down 10 dishes that define the American cafeteria in the 1960s, dishes that fed millions of families every week, and dishes that most people under 50 have never even tasted. Number 1, Salisbury steak with brown gravy, ground beef shaped into an oval patty, browned on a flat-top grill and smothered in a thick, dark gravy that pooled around a scoop of mashed potatoes sitting right beside it. Cafeterias could make it in enormous batches, keeping it warm under heat lamps for hours without losing its flavor, which made it one of the most reliable items on any steam table in the country. For a lot of families, this single dish, more than any other, is what the word cafeteria still smells like. Number 2, macaroni and cheese, baked in a full sheet pan. Not the individual portion you get today, but a massive sheet pan baked until the top turned golden and slightly crisp at the corners, then cut into squares and served with a large metal spoon. Cafeteria mac and cheese was heavier, denser, and somehow more comforting than any homemade version, precisely because it had been baked low and slow for hours before the doors even opened for lunch. Number 3, congealed fruit salad. A wobbling square of gelatin studded with canned fruit cocktail and set on a single lettuce leaf, served as the salad option on almost every cafeteria line in the country. Cooks could prepare it a full day in advance, cut it into perfect squares, and keep an entire tray ready to go without any last-minute work at all. For children, it was practically dessert disguised as a vegetable, and it disappeared from lunch lines almost entirely as fresh salad bars took over in later decades. Number 4, fried okra. In cafeterias across the South, a scoop of okra, sliced thin, coated in cornmeal, and fried until crisp, sat on the steam table beside the green beans and the corn. It required almost no seasoning beyond salt, and its crunch made it one of the most requested vegetable sides on the entire line. As cafeterias outside the South closed or converted to different formats, fried okra slowly disappeared from most menus nationwide. Number 5, chicken and dumplings. A cafeteria classic, made in enormous stock pots and ladled generously over a bed of wide, soft dumplings that had absorbed the broth for hours. It was one of the few dishes on the line that actually tasted better the longer it sat warming under the heat lamp, and regulars knew exactly which day of the week to show up if they wanted a bowl. Number 6, baked squash casserole. Yellow squash, sliced thin, baked with butter, crushed crackers, and a touch of cheese until the top turned golden and slightly crisp. It was a side dish that many families never made at home, precisely because it tasted better in the massive quantities a cafeteria kitchen could produce, where the squash had time to soften completely and soak up every bit of the buttery topping. Number 7, liver and onions, cafeteria style. Thin slices of beef liver, dredged in flour, fried until just cooked through, and topped with a generous pile of caramelized onions. It was never the most popular item on the line, but it was always there, a dependable, affordable protein that filled a plate for very little cost and appealed to an older generation raised to believe organ meat was simply good for you. Number 8, cornbread, served in wide, golden squares, baked in enormous sheet pans and cut into thick, crumbly squares. This cornbread was denser and slightly sweeter than most homemade versions, served alongside a small dish of butter that melted almost instantly against the warm surface. No cafeteria tray felt complete without a square of it sitting beside the vegetables, and the smell of it baking often reached the parking lot before the doors even opened. Number 9. Banana pudding, served from a giant pan. Layers of vanilla wafers, sliced bananas, and thick custard, baked in a pan large enough to serve an entire dining room, topped with a blanket of meringue browned just enough at the peaks. Cafeteria banana pudding had a reputation all its own in many towns, and regulars would sometimes call ahead just to ask whether it was on the dessert line that day. Number 10. Sweet tea, poured from a machine the size of a refrigerator. No cafeteria meal in the South felt complete without a tall glass of sweet tea brewed in massive batches and kept ice cold in machines built specifically for the job. It was sweeter than most people make it at home today, brewed strong and sugared while still hot so the sugar would dissolve completely. And for many families, that first sip at the start of the meal is one of the clearest memories they still carry from those cafeteria lunches. 10 dishes, none of them fancy. All of them made in quantities large enough to feed an entire town, and all of them quietly disappearing as cafeterias closed their doors one by one over the following decades, replaced by food courts, drive-thrus, and meals eaten alone instead of in a room full of neighbors. If any of these dishes bring back a memory, tell us in the comments which cafeteria you grew up eating at and which dish on this list you still think about. And if this video reminded you of a Sunday afternoon you had not thought about in years, stay with us because we have more forgotten American traditions waiting for you right after this.